You are now on the guest list for the VIP lounge at the Kitten Club.
In the VIP lounge at the Kitten Club with yours truly, DJ Frenchie, I have my very special guest, all the way from Brooklyn, New York, DJ Spinna. How are you, Spinna?
Oh, I'm doing just great, man. Great to be on the show.
Thank you so much. You're over in the country at present promoting the BBE Music Tour. Can you explain how it's been going?
Oh, it's been great. I've done some radio interviews and, did an in-store yesterday at Love Vinyl, which went down really well. And, did some record shopping. I'm actually record shopping as we speak. So, which is my favorite pastime, hobby, and love. So, yeah, I'm having a great time. And tonight, I'm having my wonderful tribute event, my Stevie Wonder tribute party in London at Scala, so I'm really looking forward to that.
That's really good. The one thing I must say is that from a young age you've been inspired by hip-hop. Can you share who influenced and inspired you from that sort of background?
Oh, wow. Well, my first love with hip-hop happened when I heard Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. That was the first commercial record that got played on radio. And, Good Times by Chic was such a huge record that it was really weird to hear somebody rapping over the instrumental at the time, back in 1979. So from that record on forward, I pretty much developed a love for it. Grandmaster Flash being probably the first hip-hop DJ of notoriety is definitely my hero. Jam Master Jay. And as far as producers go, Pumpkin and the All-Stars, Larry Smith, bless his soul, who produced all the stuff for Houdini and Run DMC. And then later on, people like Bomb Squad and KRS-One and Tribe Called Quest and DJ Premier. Those are all my early inspirations for actually making records.
So you featured in a couple of groups. Can you share some of those experiences?
Well, the Jig Masters is actually made up of myself and Creme de la Creme, the MC, and we actually put the group together back in 1991. We are friends first. We grew up together. We've known each other since we were teenagers, and when we came early, young adults, we decided to form this group. And in 1996, after trying to get record deals for years and doing demos upon demos and going in the studio and stuff, we decided to form an independent label called Beyond Real and start releasing our own records. Throughout the mid to late 90s, we made our mark putting out independent releases. And then Polyrhythmatics is a supergroup made up of myself, Shabam Sadiq, Mr. Complex, and Apani B. Fly originally. And we basically were all doing our thing on the underground hip-hop scene from the late 90s and decided to... It started off as a single for a Japanese compilation called Tags of the Times. And after the single was done, we decided to... Mr. Complex was the leader of that pack. He said, you know what, let's make this into a full-on project. So we put the group together, and then we ended up getting signed to Nervous Records, and the rest was history.
When did you discover your amazing talent as a producer?
Well, I started dabbling in the studio at an early age in the mid-'80s. I didn't really know exactly what I was doing until, late 80s, early 90s, especially after forming Jig Masters and working on demos. That was a way for me to really learn my way around the studio and learn how to use drum machines and mix records with engineers. And, I would say it started in the early 90s. I would say I developed my actual sound by mid 90s, 95, 96.
You started to combine your style with soul, hip hop, and also dance, which has really enhanced you. When would you say that people really took notice of you when you started to produce on the soulful house side?
I'd say Days Like This was the trigger. I had been dabbling a little bit right before that. In the late 90s, the first actual house record that I ever cut was for soul music out of Glasgow. It was a nice little EP that I put out with them, but it wasn't until the Shauna Scoffrey record that I think the house world started to take notice and say, okay, this guy is for real, and he understands what this is all about. But to be frank, as a DJ, I've always been into house music. I wasn't secure in my ability to make the music 100%, but playing it out, I went to the Paradise Garage in New York, so in a lot of, early house club in the 80s. So I got to experience the meat of the whole development of the house world. I was a club kid, a club head, as we call it. So I was always into the music, and playing parties, you had to be diverse. Especially back then, you heard everything in the club from hip hop to R&B and soul to house, and even dance hall, late 80s, early 90s. That was what a party was supposed to be about. It wasn't just one thing back then. So I've always had it in me to make the music. But again, Sean Escoffier, that was the benchmark. That was the record that kind of just let the path, open the gateways for me to continue. And, it was so huge and such an anthemic track that I couldn't really turn away from it. I had to kind of follow that lead.
From that launch pad, you've performed all over the world now. Can you share special moments that you've enjoyed as a DJ and as an artist where you've performed all over the world?
I'd say, one of my most memorable gigs was in Japan back in 1999 at the legendary Club Yellow, which no longer exists. But, I had a really strong fan base for the hip hop thing back then. And I hadn't really ventured into playing other styles of music going there, but one time in 1999 I did a gig. I started off with hip-hop. I had all the hip-hop kids, all the b-boys and b-girls in front of me watching every move, and then midway through the set I started going into disco and house, and I saw the room shift. It's like all the hip-hop kids went to the back and all the house heads came to the front, and they stuck with me, and I played. That was the first time probably ever in my life playing an 8-hour plus set. I didn't stop DJing until like 8, 9 in the morning. I got to really express myself. So that gig was special. I'll never forget it.
You've performed many times at Southport and Minehead, and you've also performed at the Scottish Weekender. How much have you enjoyed your English or your UK experience?
Oh man, I love it. I mean, one thing about coming here to the UK is that I discovered over time is people really know their music here. They study it, they appreciate it, and they get into music that's from the U.S. that we didn't necessarily pay attention to in the U.S., especially the whole Northern Soul movement or the two-step movement, music-wise. And they cherish stuff much more than we do, rare album cuts. So going to Southport and those kind of festivals, you see the serious connoisseurs come out. I guess I'm proud to say that I'm probably one of maybe a handful of DJs to have played every single room. The funk bass, the powerhouse, the connoisseur's corner, the B-bar. And I think it's a blessing and an honor because I really get to show full spectrum of where I'm coming from.
Well, I've recently interviewed Stephanie Cook. I asked her, can she see herself working with you again? She says your style, the way how you do your music, she would love to work with you again. So that's a little thing I thought I'd drop with you.
I know. She's expressed that to me over time.
What can we see coming from the producer and the artist for 2015, 2016?
Wow. A lot more productions. I'm working on an album right now for BBE, and I'm working on 2 albums. I'm working on a Jig Masters album, which is going to be released next year, but I'm also working on a full-length house project featuring many artists. Actually, Sean Escoffier already contributed to this project. We did a song together that's quite amazing, so keep your eyes open for that. Various remixes as well. Tony Humphries, I'm working on a remix for label Tony Records at the moment, so that should be released hopefully by late August.
What I can say, the album that you did, The Sound Beyond the Stars, I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And what it nicely leads me to, I'm going to ask you to become a radio presenter on my show, in which I would love you to present 2 tracks of your choice for the listeners here in the Kitten Club. Can you do that for me?
Sure.
Take it away, Spinna.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you a track off of my Sound Beyond Stars album. It's a track that I did for a Japanese producer, DJ by the name of Lost Soul. He contacted me whilst I was in Japan some years ago and said he wanted me to do this remix, and he sent me the track and thought it was amazing. The name of the song is called Dear Friend, and it features a UK singer by the name of Lisa Millette. So here we have it. Dear Friend, DJ Spinna remix, Lost Soul.
You are now on the guest list for the VIP lounge at the Kitten Club.
Here is a track that I used to play very, very, very heavily back in the days in New York City. I was really into imports, and this is a track that made it across the pond from the UK to New York City, and it was really hot in the clubs. It's called Bang Bang Your Mind by Bang the Party.
You are now on the guest list for the VIP lounge at the Kitten Club.
Marvin Gaye is all-time favorite artist, Motown, 70s soul, 60s, 70s soul. But there's this track called Where Are We Going that was produced by the Mizell brothers. That's very elusive. I'm not really sure how it was released originally, but last year, 2014, at Southport, there was a record seller there selling some vinyl and some CDs, and he actually had a reissue of this single by Marvin Gaye on 12-inch, which had just come out through Universal Music. I'm a huge Larry Mizell Brothers fan as well, so this combination I thought was immaculate to have the song recorded. So I'd like to present Where Are We Going by Marvin Gaye.